Austin's dad was never satisfied with anything he did. He was consistently displeased because Austin didn't fit the idea of the man he envisioned. Austin often heard he was weak and acting too much like a girl. His dad insisted he toughen up, warning that if he didn't, he'd be sent to a military boarding school. Austin strongly disliked the idea of attending any boarding school, especially a military one. Unfortunately, he felt powerless to resist. Changing himself seemed like an impossible task. His worst fear came true when his dad unexpectedly visited his school one day and discovered him kissing another guy. After this, Austin's dad decided he had reached his limit and promptly arranged for Austin to attend a military boarding school, hoping for a transformation upon his return. Austin didn't initiate the kiss. It was the other guy who forced himself on Austin. The guy claimed Austin looked gay and wanted to know how it felt kissing a guy. Despite Austin's attempts to explain the truth to his dad, his pleas fell on deaf ears. His dad had already made up his mind and wasn't willing to listen. Austin desperately looked to his mom for help, but she too remained silent and didn't challenge his dad's decision, as usual. The following week, Austin was sent off to the strictest military high school in the country. His parents left him in the care of the school headmaster and departed without a second thought. The headmaster summoned Miles, the head boy prefect, to guide Austin through the school, explain the essential rules, and show him to his assigned dormitory. Miles efficiently carried out these tasks without a smile and directed Austin to his dorm. As they went into the dorm and Miles said Austin was their new dorm mate, everyone burst into laughter. One guy even joked that Miles might have brought Austin to the wrong place, thinking it was the girls' dorm. Austin already knew that he wasn't going to like it here. Miles just said, "Hope you guys get along," and left Austin with his new dorm mates, who didn't seem very friendly. The first rule Austin faced was waking up at 5 a.m. for morning training before regular classes started. The assembly for training began promptly at 5 a.m., and anyone arriving even a minute late faced punishment. He had to rely on himself to wake up on time as the school didn't allow alarms or phones, only school phone booths. However, it was already past 5 a.m., and Austin was still asleep. His dorm mates didn't even bother waking him up. Miles woke up Austin, looking annoyed, and questioned why he was still sleeping at that hour. Before Austin could explain, Miles interrupted, saying, "Save your explanation for later. You have only 5 minutes to get to the training grounds," and promptly left. Austin hurriedly made his way to the training ground. Upon arrival, the training coach scolded him and ordered him to drop and do 100 push-ups. Austin felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. He could barely manage 5 push-ups, let alone 100. Struggling through the first one, he could hear his dorm mates laughing. However, Miles approached the training coach, pleading on Austin's behalf due to him being new. Reluctantly, the training coach spared Austin, but instructed him to memorize all the school rules and recite them at the next training session. After the training, Austin hurried to catch up with Miles and expressed his gratitude for saving him from doing 100 push-ups. Miles, however, responded sternly, stating, "I only did that because you looked like you were going to waste everyone's time. Wake up on time next time." Austin explained that waking up on time was a challenge for him since he didn't have an alarm. In response, Miles suggested asking his dorm mates to wake him up, but Austin noted that they didn't like him. Miles simply said, "Then learn to wake up on your own on time," and walked away. Austin attempted to befriend his dorm mates, but they responded with laughter, making it clear they couldn't be friends with someone like him. Over the next days, Austin faced frequent punishments during training for his inability to wake up on time. He endured body pains from the rigorous exercises and penalties. Peace in the dorm was elusive, as his mates continually played pranks on him whenever they had the chance. During a nap, Austin woke up to discover one of his dorm mates drawing on his face while the others giggled around him. As soon as they noticed his eyes open, they dispersed and pretended nothing happened. Austin checked in the mirror and found his eyebrows shaded and lipstick on his lips. Frustrated, he attempted to wash it off, but the lipstick proved stubborn. Wiping his lips vigorously didn't help either. Angrily, he stormed out of the dorm and accidentally bumped into Miles. Miles, upon seeing Austin's face, expressed annoyance, cautioning him about potential punishment if caught by any teachers. Austin explained it wasn't his doing. His dorm mates were always trying to pick on him. In response, Miles said, "They wouldn't pick on you if you stopped behaving like that." His words hung in the air, and Austin, now with tears welling up, questioned, "Behaving like what? You know, even though you never smiled and always acted mean and strict, I thought you were different from everyone else. But I guess I was wrong. You are just like everyone else." With those words, Austin walked away, leaving Miles speechless. In the days that followed, Miles persisted in his attempts to apologize to Austin. He even took the initiative to wake Austin up early for training, ensuring he avoided punishment. Despite this, Austin continued to avoid even making eye contact or acknowledging Miles' efforts. One day, one of Austin's dorm mates rushed in, proudly displaying a lady's panty as proof of completing a dare. The dare involved sleeping with one of the girls and bringing back her underwear. As the dorm mate excitedly recounted the story, school officials and prefects abruptly stormed in for the weekly inspections. In the chaos, the dorm mate hastily tossed the panty into Austin's belongings. However, Austin found himself helpless as everyone had to freeze in place during the ongoing inspection. As Austin contemplated how to explain that the panty wasn't his, Miles, having witnessed the incident, promptly informed the officials. When the authorities examined the thrown item and discovered the panty, they penalized the dorm mate responsible. Despite Miles' sympathetic gaze, Austin remained distant and avoided making eye contact. The next morning, as Miles went to wake up Austin, who typically avoided eye contact, questioned, "Why are you doing all this? Are you trying to make yourself feel better?" Miles struggled to find words and could only mumble, "No, I." Austin rolled his eyes and left without waiting for a complete response. In the dorm, Austin's dorm mates discussed their frustration with Miles's snitching and bossy attitude, planning to teach him a lesson. They decided to lure him to an isolated part of the school at night and beat him up. Austin, overhearing their plans, debated whether to inform Miles about the impending danger, despite not wanting to speak to him. Eventually, he chose to tell Miles. Visiting Miles's dorm, he interrupted any attempt Miles made to speak, stating, "I'm not here to listen to anything you have to say. I'm only here to tell you that my dorm mates are planning to lure you to an isolated place at night and beat you up, so be careful." Without giving Miles a chance to respond, he left. Miles successfully saved himself by promptly informing the officials about Austin's dorm mates' plan. The dorm mates were caught in the act, resulting in punishments and confinement to a room designated for extremely stubborn students. They received their last warning, and any further violation of school rules would lead to expulsion. When Miles saw Austin, he approached him, but Austin ignored him as usual and began to walk away. However, Miles grabbed his hand and declared, "I'm not letting go until I say everything I want to say." Despite Austin's attempts to free his hand, Miles's grip remained firm. Austin finally relented, allowing Miles to continue. Miles began, "I want to apologize for what I said the last time. I really didn't mean to say anything like that. I was in a really bad mood that day, but that doesn't justify what I said, and I'm really, really sorry. I'm not good with words, so I don't know what to say to make you forgive me, but I'm truly sorry. I feel so bad every time you ignore me, but I deserve it." Austin then said, "I forgave you already. I hold no grudge against you. I just don't want to talk to you." Miles responded, "I understand that." Austin continued, "If you understand, then can you let go of my hand?" Miles hesitated for a moment before saying, "Wait, I have something else to say. Would you like to move to my dorm?" Austin asked, "Why would I want to move to your dorm?" Miles replied, "Your dorm mates know you told me about their plan. They are probably going to try to get back at you when they come back. It would be safe if you changed dorms." Austin then said, "If I can change to another dorm, why would I change to yours?" Miles responded, "Because I want to be closer to you, so that I can protect you if they try to do anything. They can't really do much to me." Austin scoffed and said, "Protect me? Why do you even care? We're not friends or anything." Miles then replied, "I don't know, but I worry about you. You wouldn't face any problems in my dorm. My dorm mates are really quiet and keep to themselves. It's like they're invisible. I requested permission for you to change dorms, so please consider it." Saying that, he let go of Austin's hand. Austin said a quick, "I'll think about it," then left. Austin had always wanted to change dorms, and moving to Miles's dorm seemed like a safe option. Considering this, he accepted the offer and moved to Miles's dorm the next day. His new roommates turned out to be quiet people, with both of them now sharing a room and Miles accompanying him everywhere. Austin gradually softened up to Miles, and they grew quite close. Somehow, Austin didn't feel worried, despite catching his old dorm mates glaring at him whenever they saw him, knowing Miles had his back. On visiting day, Austin always felt a pang of sadness and often shed tears as his parents never came to see him. While his colleagues joyfully went to meet their parents, returning with food and gifts, Austin was left alone in the dorm. His attempts to call home were always met with unanswered calls. On one such visiting day, when Miles was leaving to see his parents, he noticed Austin sitting on his bed, appearing on the verge of tears. Trying to put on a brave face, Austin asked Miles why he wasn't leaving. Miles, seeing through the facade, invited Austin to join him to meet his parents. Austin hesitated, considering it inappropriate, but Miles insisted, assuring him that his parents were kind and would appreciate meeting him. Despite Austin's initial refusal, Miles took his hand and gently pulled him along. Miles's parents warmly embraced him upon their arrival, bringing a broad smile to Miles's face, a sight Austin hadn't witnessed before. Miles, usually reserved with only occasional smiles, seemed transformed in their presence. Introducing Austin to his parents, Miles's mom hugged him immediately, expressing joy at meeting Miles's first friend. She then asked if Austin was the person Miles had mentioned to her. Austin turned to look at Miles, who now seemed a bit embarrassed. Miles's mom continued, revealing, "Miles called us crying, saying he had unintentionally said something mean to someone and he didn't know what to do." Miles, quick to defend himself, interrupted, "I wasn't crying." To which his mom responded, "You sounded like you were crying." And his dad chimed in, "You were definitely crying." Miles hurriedly requested, "Can we please stop talking about this?" His mom added, "He is always trying to look tough, but he is a very big softie. He is like a big baby." Austin smiled, glancing at Miles, who attempted to divert the conversation. Austin began to perceive Miles in a new light. They all settled down for a conversation, with Miles's parents engaging Austin more. And any remnants of Austin's nervousness and sadness dissipated as he felt a newfound sense of belonging within their company. At the end of the visit, Miles's mom handed Miles a container of the food she had prepared, saying, "I brought enough for you and Austin." Even though this old man here told me it was a lot, my heart kept telling me to bring more than I usually did. It was like I knew I would be meeting my second son today. Miles then joked, "Is it Dad you are calling the old man? He looks younger than you though." Miles's dad gave him a proud pat on his back. His mom replied, "There must be something wrong with your eyes." Miles took the food, and Austin thanked Miles's parents for the meal. Miles opened his arms for a hug as his mom approached, looking like she was about to hug him. But she swerved and hugged Austin instead. She gave a mischievous smile at Miles before leaving with Miles's dad. On Miles and Austin's walk back to their dorm, Austin said, "Your parents are so sweet and funny." And Miles replied, "I told you you will love them." Austin then expressed, "I really envy your relationship with your parents. I wish I had the same connection with mine, but they don't even care about me." Miles responded, "I'm sure they love and care about you in their own way." Austin insisted, "They don't do anything that shows they care about me or even love me." Miles smiled and said, "You can have my parents then. My mom has already taken you as her son." Austin teased, "Are you sure you want me to have your parents? Don't be sad when I steal them away from you." They both laughed, and Austin remarked, "You should smile and laugh more. You look cute when you do." Miles then stated, "Then I'll only do that when I'm with you." Austin replied, "That's fine." They both went to the dining hall to eat the food they were given. The moment Austin had the first spoon in his mouth, he started tearing up. Miles asked if anything was wrong, and Austin replied he's just emotional because the food tastes amazing. Miles knew that wasn't the real reason, but he didn't ask any more questions. As days passed, Austin and Miles grew even closer now that Austin had seen a different side of Miles. Austin started teasing Miles by calling him a big baby since the visiting day. But every time Austin called him that and looked at him, he felt butterflies in his tummy. Whenever Miles's parents came to visit him, Austin went along with him. He even stopped worrying about his parents not coming or checking up on him. Austin's old dorm mates were still holding a grudge against Austin and Miles. One day, during training, one of them intentionally tripped Austin, causing him to fall and hurt his knee while spraining his ankle. Miles rushed to Austin's aid, carrying him to the infirmary. Unfortunately, the nurse wasn't available, prompting Miles to take the initiative and dress Austin's wounded knee to prevent infection. Shakingly, he dipped cotton into the disinfectant. As he was about to apply it to Austin's wound, he paused, offering his hand to Austin and suggesting he could bite it if it hurt. With a smile, Austin took his hand, and Miles proceeded to apply the disinfectant, closing his eyes tightly. Austin chuckled, remarking, "Why are you acting like you're the one going to be in pain?" Miles admitted that he had never done this before. Miles completed the disinfecting process, and as he did, Austin bit his arm, even though it didn't really hurt. At that moment, the nurse arrived to take over. After the nurse finished the treatment, and it was time to leave, Miles insisted that Austin climb onto his back. Austin argued that he could walk on his own, but Miles reminded him of the nurse's advice not to strain his ankle. Reluctantly, Austin climbed onto Miles's back, and Miles carried him back to their dorm. Miles took permission for Austin to skip trainings since he was hurt. He couldn't get the one who tripped Austin punished, lacking evidence to prove it was intentional. Miles assisted Austin with everything except bathing and using the toilet. He brought food for him and even fed him. As he was feeding Austin, Austin said, "You know I hurt my leg and not my hand, so I can eat by myself, right?" Miles dropped the spoon and mumbled, "Oh." Austin smiled and remarked, "The way you've been taking care of me lately makes my heart do backflips. You're making me think you like me or something." Miles then said, "What if I do?" Austin, taken aback, asked, "Huh?" Miles repeated, "What if I like you?" Austin said, "No, you can't like me." Miles asked, "Why can't I like you?" And Austin replied, "I don't know, you just can't like me. I think maybe what you're feeling is pity for me, or you are still feeling guilty, and you are mistaking it for love." Miles then said, "I'm not mistaking anything. I have thought about it, and I'm very sure the feelings I have for you are that of love and not any guilt or pity." Austin then challenged, "Maybe you should think about it again. I will ask you every day if you still like me, and I'm sure you are going to change your mind soon." Austin sounded sure, "I'm not going to change my mind." The next day, the first thing Austin did when he woke up was ask Miles, "Have you thought about it? Do you still like me?" Miles replied, "Yes, I do." Austin sighed. The next day again, he asked Miles, "Do you still like me?" And Miles replied, "I like you more than I did yesterday." Austin kept asking Miles if he still liked him every day, and Miles always gave the same answer, that he still liked him and even more. One day, as Austin asked Miles if he still liked him, and Miles replied that he did, Austin then said, "If you like me, then kiss me." Without thinking twice, Miles landed a kiss on Austin's lips. Austin, who wasn't expecting Miles to actually kiss him, covered his mouth, looking shocked. He tried to ignore the millions of butterflies dancing in his stomach. Miles then asked while smirking, "Do you want more, to finally believe that I really do like you?" Austin replied, "No," and quickly went to his bed, covering his whole body with a blanket to sleep by force. The kiss between Austin and Miles had been captured by John, one of Austin's former dorm mates, who had been eavesdropping the entire time. Just as he was about to leave, Ezra, one of the quiet roommates of Miles and Austin, intercepted him, took the phone, and deleted the pictures. Ezra then reported to a passing teacher that John had a forbidden phone, leading to John being taken to the headmaster's office. Later, when Ezra returned to the dorm, he cautioned Miles to be careful during their private moments, as they were photographed, but he had already handled the situation. Miles expressed gratitude, deciding to be less physically affectionate with Austin to avoid further incidents that might involve their parents, especially considering Austin's uneasy relationship with his father. With only a month left until graduation, Miles thought it best to exercise caution. John's expulsion led to a chain reaction as he decided not to face it alone. In a bid to avoid expulsion, he snitched on his friends who also possessed forbidden items. Subsequent searches revealed the prohibited items, resulting in the expulsion of the entire group, as they had exhausted their warnings. As the days passed, Austin noticed a shift in Miles' behavior. Despite maintaining their friendship, Miles began to create distance and seemed uneasy when Austin was too close. Austin confronted Miles, asking, "Did you finally discover you don't really like me?" Miles responded, "Can we discuss this on the last day of school?" An unsettling feeling lingered in Austin's heart, fearing that Miles might have changed his feelings or realized he didn't have romantic affections. He liked Miles too, but having never experienced unconditional love and care before, he found it challenging to accept Miles's sudden love and care. Just when he was ready to open up his heart, it seemed Miles had lost interest. Things became awkward between them since then. And since they were both busy with their final exams, they didn't interact much. Final exams were over, and with just one night left at school, Miles approached Austin and asked, "Would you like to go to the beach?" Austin replied, "How will we go to the beach? We can't even go out." Miles then assured him, "Are you forgetting who you are talking to? I am the head prefect. And besides, we are practically done with school, so they can't really do much to us if they find out we sneaked out." Austin then said, "Even so, there is security at the gate, so we can't go out." Miles smiled and took Austin's hand, leading him through a passage that brought them straight to the beach beside the school. When they arrived, Austin exclaimed, "How did you find out about the secret passage?" Miles proudly replied, "I know everywhere," and Austin said, "I can see that." After a moment of silence, Miles, still holding Austin's hand, suggested, "Let's take a walk," and Austin nodded. They walked hand in hand in silence at the beach until Miles broke it, saying, "I know I have been acting weird lately." He then proceeded to explain the reason for his recent behavior. Miles added, "I still like you. No, I love you, and I want you to know that. Or do you want me to shout it out for the whole world to hear?" Austin replied, "No, you won't." Miles turned to face the sea and shouted, "Austin Daniels, I love you." Panicking, Austin covered Miles's mouth to stop any more shouting and said, Okay, I get it, I believe you." Miles removed Austin's hand from his mouth, took both his hands, and asked, "What about you? I always saw the way you looked like you would cry when I avoided physical contact. You like me, don't you?" Austin retorted, "I never looked like I would cry. I'm not a big baby like you." Miles pressed on, "Okay, so do you like me or not?" Austin went silent. Miles moved his face close to Austin, as if to kiss him, and Austin closed his eyes, anticipating the kiss, but only heard Miles giggling. He opened his eyes to see Miles looking at him, smiling, and Miles said, "If you don't like me, then why did you close your eyes?" Austin locked eyes with Miles for a brief moment before stating, "I never said I don't like you." With that, he pulled Miles in by his collar, initiating a kiss. Miles was taken aback at first, but soon found himself lost in the moment. Time seemed to stand still as they shared the kiss. After parting, they embraced in silence for a few minutes. Later, they laid in the sand, holding hands and watching the stars. They fell asleep in each other's arms in the process. Miles opened his eyes to see the sun rising and quickly woke Austin up to watch the sunrise together. After that, they quickly sneaked back in before anyone could realize they were gone. Austin and Miles packed their belongings, joining the others outside, anticipating their family's arrival. Although Austin was aware his parents might not come, he waited patiently, and Miles stood by him. Even when Miles's parents came, he continued waiting. Miles's parents, understanding the situation, joined the wait. After unsuccessful attempts to reach his parents by phone, Austin eventually abandoned the wait and accepted a ride from Miles's family, who dropped him off at his house. Austin entered the house to find his dad laughing and chatting on the phone, while his mom was in the kitchen. His dad noticed him, ended the call, and greeted him with a remark about expecting changes. His mom took his bags, asking him to freshen up and join them for a meal. Disappointed, Austin confronted his parents, expressing his hope that their absence was due to sickness or trouble, only to realize they simply chose not to care about him. His dad justified their actions, claiming it was to help him toughen up. Austin, frustrated, retorted, "How is that helping me toughen up? I always tried to do everything I can to please you, but I'm done because I now see that there is nothing in this world I will do that will please you. You shouldn't have given birth to me if you knew you weren't going to love me unconditionally." Saying that, he stormed off to his room and locked the door. He called Miles, and the moment he heard Miles's voice, he burst into uncontrollable tears, letting out all the feelings he had bottled up inside him. Since that day, Austin barely stayed home and frequented Miles's house. There he felt more at home and even forgot about his problems at his own home. Everyone there showed him love he had never experienced from his own family. He and Miles started dating officially. Even though they both didn't get to attend the same college, the distance didn't fracture their relationship. Instead, it strengthened it.